we are glad that finally the backbencher, Honorable Onesimus Murkomen, the majority leader who is leading from the back in the Senate, is here. And ametoka mbali. Akakuja, first time amekuja Nairobi, 1999.
Yes.
Akarudi 2000.
Yeah.
Alipanda Eldoret Express. Akaonyesha kuna picha alipiga na suti akienda ile ilikuwa country gani mheshimiwa? Netherlands.
Yeah.
Suti inakaa kama gown ya graduation. Supreme Court.
Mheshimiwa sasa hivi mheshimiwa ni hot cake. Kama unasikia kitu inaitwa hot cake ndio sasa mheshimiwa Murkomen. Lakini thank you so much for making time mheshimiwa. I know you are a very busy man and everyone is trying to look for you. We've been with watu wanasema karibu super senator, karibu official backbencher. And the thing is, niliona hata wewe ulisema tuko hapa na boy child president anaitwa Ahoko Tiano, Maverick Tiano, Ahoko.
Nimemwona tu kwa media. Na unajua social media iko na a lot of parody account. So kama ni yeye sasa, kama ni ukweli boy lazima anashukuru.
Sasa niliona kuna story fulani juzi on the Standard that ulikuwa unatumiwa fare. Yeah, sweetie.
Yeah.
Unajua mademo wa siku hizi ni kuitisha ushuru ni kama KRA.
Nimeona vile imeandikwa, I think imewekwa chumvi kidogo ni vizuri. Nilikuwa nimesema kwamba tulipoanza familia yetu kuona it's my wife who had more money than myself. Yeah. Na alikuwa na kazi nzuri, alikuwa kwa commission. So a constitutional commission. So siku hizo yeye kweli alikuwa ananipatia fare niende job. So lakini vile imeandikwa nikaa kwamba tulikuwa tunaishi tofauti hapa. Tulikuwa sasa tumekuwa familia, lakini yeye ndio alikuwa songo kidogo mbele yangu.
Alikuwa na
kakitu, mimi nilikuwa na hustle na funza Catholic University na unajua school salary ya lecturer ni kidogo sana. So alikuwa ananisukuma nifike shule nini hustle nini na pale mpaka tukapata network.
So unaambia majamaa kama uko na mtu atumane fare.
Asiogope. Unajua kila mtu ata kama relationship ni genuine, haijalishi nani ako na pesa kuliko mwingine, na nani, na si lazima ujikaze sana kama mwanaume uombe loan ndio upeleke mtu hoteli kubwa. Sisi tulipokuwa tuna date siku hizo tunaenda chips hapo Odeon Cinema. Hiyo ni tukipanda matatu kuelekea Tiongo Road huko penye tulianzia maisha huko Kangemi mbele kidogo. So si lazima, by the way nilipomaliza campus nyumba ya kwanza tulienda kuishi. Tuliishi watu 4. My colleagues were all lawyers, 4. Na girlfriend yangu sasa bibi yangu alikuwa anaishi nyumba nyingine next door. So tulikuwa tunasaidiana tukitoka pupillage. Kama unajua legal whatever, tukitoka pupillage training tunaenda hapo Odeon Cinema kungojea matatu na tunachelewa kidogo ndio ifike ile time yenyewe.
Mkiona ile kuku inazungukanga.
Kumbe unajua, hata kumbe unajua. Yole inazunguka hapo na chips hapo Odeon Cinema. Alafu tuna waste time kidogo ndio ifike wakati ule fare ni imekuja chini. Basi tunashika.
Lazima imekuwa 25 ama ilikuwa mbao siku hizo.
I think ilikuwa mbao. Ukilipa mbao umelipa pesa mingi.
Jana hata wewe ni mzee bana. Lakini sawa.
Tumekaita. So asante sana mheshimiwa kwa kuja. Tumekusubiri na hatutaki sana kupoteza wakati wako. Nilikuwa nakuuliza kwa sababu just when you walked in we were having a conversation on young people. This is the International Day of Youth, and we have been having a conversation around responsibility around young people. Even social responsibility is still a responsibility.
Yeah.
Na history ya fair pia is a social responsibility.
Correct.
Kwa sababu huko hapa anasemaga tuokoe boy child. Huko amesaidia mwokoa billions of money that has not been transacted this year kwa sababu boy child anakanyaga nini budget ya fair. So I think there's also need to have a discussion on that. But before we dig in, I want to give you an opportunity to say hi to the people and also wasalimie na wakaribisha.
Ningependa kuwasalimia wa Kenya wote ambao wananisikiza and to really thank you for having me here. And I think this is a very important day. The International Day of Youth is a very important day because youthful years are very important in any person's life, both as a time of formation, but also a time of exploration, where you can do as many things as possible as you find your compass in life. Youthfulness is something that you can't live, you can't create, you can't recreate. And the most important thing is, I keep saying that young people should not be constricted in terms of their minds, how they think, what they want to pursue, what they want to do in life. They must be given the latitude to make a decision as to what they want to be. And, when I went to Senate, I used to sit with Mzee Gigi Kariuki. I was then 33. And I would ask, he would tell us, vijana, relax.
Mambo yenu bado.
Mambo yote naona hapa mwende pole pole. But the answer I used to tell him is that we must be also allowed to make our mistakes. You see, the elders have already made enough mistakes. They know what is wrong, what's right, and they also discovered who they are in the process. And as much as possible, young people must given that latitude and room to be explorative and to widen their thinking. And it's also what we call a challenge to parents, not to so much expect their children to be who they want them to be, and they do not become. You just give them to the best of your ability and your resources. Give young people an opportunity to try as many things as possible, and also listen to them, listen to their needs, listen to their aspirations. Because sometimes you push your child to do a particular course, but they're doing it for you, they're not doing for themselves. And that is not their calling, that's not their life. You can now see the importance of also arts, the importance of supporting talent. If your child wants to be in sports, support them to do sports. If he wants to be in arts and arts, that's the same. This is the direction that we should go, and we should develop as much as possible young people to cover all sectors of our national life.
So if I'm to ask you, Mheshimiwa, before I go to the next topic is, what did you say is the state of the young people in the country, especially as a man who God has been good to you? You've got an opportunity that most of us would actually dream of. What do you say is the state of the young people in terms of giving young people an opportunity? We had our guest here, Nerima Wako, and she was saying that the government has continued to constrict the youth space in terms of operation and actually participation in government and decision making. And we said rightfully, Okango say that in decision making, you're either on the table or on the menu. Most of the time, you're on the menu, waiting for forks and spoons to be untaken. What did you say is the position of young people? State of young people.
I think to a great extent, Jubilee Manifesto and Jubilee administration put itself. You remember the promise we made in 2013 that if we were to be voted first round, we'd put the extra 6 billion that would go to election to youth programs. And to a great extent, there was an attempt to give resources to young people to start businesses, for startups and so forth. But we must understand the challenges of the youth are beyond. First of all, in terms of decision making, we should have done better. I think we can still do better as a Jubilee administration, especially when it looks like you have over 400 parastatals, and you can't even pinpoint about 100 youth, because in those 400 parastatals with board members of almost 7 or 8, you have over 1,000 people, board members, almost 2,000 board members who are governing these very important institutions. And you cannot even say for sure you have more than 100 who are young people. Commensurate to the population, young people should have been a sizable number. I'm not saying there must be such many, because board also of directors is not direct employment. But for decision making, we should have about 200-300 young people, or even at least one for every parastatal, so that you have about 400 young people in these state corporations. If you look at political space, I think the campaign for young people to join politics has borne a lot of fruits. And in the Senate, our Senate is one of the youngest Senates in the world, if I'm not wrong, because a number of us are below. Most of them were elected when they were below 35. You have Aaron Cheriot, who was elected when he was 29, Cherargei when he was 29 as well. You have, I was elected when I was 33. Governor Sang was 28 when he was elected. He's still a governor now and still under 35. So a number, and if you were to talk about the general youthful years of 40s, like myself, Motula, Sakaja is still under 35. So you have a number of young people who are now having opportunities to be in the Senate, in the National Assembly, the same. And I can tell you, you may not recognize outrightly, but you will see that most of the laws we make, the amendments we put there, the Employment Act, the labor relations and all those things have been impacted by the thinking of younger people, because you want to also make an impact in your generation. I think my encouragement to young people is that you should, many of you come to politics. If you go to county assemblies, there are so many young MCAs, and I think that's where we made greater progress. But there is still room up here for
more participation of young people.
For more participation in cabinet, in PSS, in parastatals, board of parastatals and so forth. That's what I could say about government. But now we must look at the challenges of youth now.
I'll also request
the
you,
context.
Please get the microphone closer. There's someone who complaining that your sound is not. It's very sanitized. Don't worry.
Okay. All right. Are we there?
Yes.
That's better. Okay. We must look then at the problems of the youth from the context of the economy. If our economy is not doing well, like I believe it is not doing well, the people who are impacted most are young people, because when we talk about unemployment, unemployment is a factor that affects young people.
True.
And when we don't have industry setting up in Kenya, when we don't have capital for people to run businesses, when access to capital from banks is very difficult, the impact is on young people. It's not on older people. So when you talk about a good economy, an economy that is thriving, you are talking about young people. Basically, I mean, even if you older people are owning big companies and so forth, the people who get employed, the people who are the minds behind it, the people who are the thinkers are largely young people. And I think we should look at the welfare of young people, even as we celebrate young people today, from a perspective of a well-doing economy. I think, and I want to challenge President Uhuru Kenyatta, that he needs to minimize the focus on politicians. Is politics of the Murades, the Atuolis, succession, a phantom called there's some phantom called the legacy. Legacy is not something you chase and you are saying, oh, it's here, I'm looking at it, it's a mirage. Legacy is a sum total of the things you do every day. It's not something you sit down and say, now I want to it's my time is over, I want to rush to my legacy. And my take is that President Uhuru Kenyatta should spend more time with economists. He should have, like President Kibaki, an economic and social council. It is a shame that for 8 years we were in government. We don't have a recognizable and economic advisory body in the country. It is terrible.
He's operating autopilot.
It is like the president and and his minister that he has appointed. They just decide what to do with the budget, what to do with the expenditure, what to do with payment of debts, and so forth. It is important that the president puts in place structures that give proper economic advisors. Those advisors that are surrounding him on politics, on BBI, on all those kind of things, he needs to spend less time with them. And in the next 2 years, set in place an economic advisory body that will advise how this country will recover from this COVID situation, and in an already economy that was already struggling. And if there's something I used to wonder throughout my period of working with the president, is how we have all these meetings and discussion and so forth, and there is no board, there is no single body that is advising the president on economy.
All right. If we were to be very sincere, the most talked man in this country right now must be Onesimus Kipchumba Murkomen. Out of nowhere, we are seeing a young guy in the tag who is causing a lot of problems in the country, but in government and outside. Who is Murkomen? What did you say is Murkomen? Tulionaona kidogo Murkomen kwa TV kidogo ndio hiyo analeta shida town.
No, well, I don't set out from my house to say I'm now today going to cause trouble. I actually don't plan.
Trouble looks for you.
I don't plan
trouble
that.
finds you.
I don't plan that today I'm going to do, I try to go about my job with vigor, with passion, with commitment, and then the results of it, I leave it to the public to make a determination as to whether the results are good or not. And of course, you get feedback from friends, from people you work with, from the team you work with, whether you are doing well or not, or you need to change this or that. So basically, I am that son of a squatter from somewhere in Embobut, a son of a reverend actually, and from there I came to politics from academia. I used to teach law at both Catholic, Moi, and then University of Nairobi. Also, I used to teach the LLM program, where, by the way, one of the senators was my student, and he's a very bright student, Senator Chila Yako. And so in all these pursuits, I try to just give my best to it. When I joined politics, I joined as immediately I was thrust into leadership of the House as in the Speaker's panel and also as a chair of devolution committee. And for the period of almost 8 years? Yes, 8 years in my politics. 7 years actually in my politics. I was always in the leadership, the Speaker's panel, the chair of committee, deputy majority leader, and then majority leader. In the last few months, 3 months, I have really enjoyed now retreating back to where I should have started from as a backbencher position. I mean, being a faithful member of committees in the Senate and not being in any leadership position. And I think I'm making my contribution now as a senator of Elgeyo Marakwet County, a senator who serves the interests of the country. And I'm very happy to be led. Yeah.
So you'd say, when you say you're a backbencher, do you really think you're a backbencher, Murkomen? Sincerely, honestly. I mean, do you think you're a backbencher?
De facto, I'm a backbencher. For real, I mean, really, by law, I'm a backbencher. I sit behind. I actually literally even sit behind. And I am not in any leadership of the House. I participate only in courses like the one you saw in the Division of Revenue. I joined hands with my colleagues, and we team up together to pursue a particular course, which is to protect the counties that were really losing a lot of money. And another course will come after this. We will conglomerate with other people. I've learned a lot. Some of the people I work with so closely now are the people who signed it for my removal and really wanted me to remove it very quickly. So it shows also the transiency of whatever politics and the short-term sometimes interests that clouds our long-term objectives. But you don't live in the past. I see people telling me, Murkomen is sulking, is sad that he was removed, is angry with the president of Jubilee. I am not angry with anybody. I am actually, and I've said this before, after I was removed, the president called me. And we spent about almost an hour talking. And I told him that, thank you, I am now a backbencher and I will do my job as to oversight national government as a backbencher. It was nice doing business when I was a majority leader. Now I'll support the other people who are there, but support them to do the right thing. So there is no truth in the argument that people make that some of us are angry or sulking or whatever. I do not want to fail as a backbencher the same way I didn't want to fail as a leader. So being behind there, the voice of backbenchers must be heard. And if I was going to sulk and say I will not even be attending to the Senate and I will not participate in debates because I am, the real sulking would have been if I said I don't want even to care what happens to Senate. I'm going to just vote for Elgeyo Marakwet and go away.
Disappear.
No, but I want the 2 years to be my most memorable years in the Senate in pursuing the courses that I want to.
All right. Now let me ask you, Senator, now that you've mentioned about the revenue debate, and this is a course that you've really driven. Behind all the other guys who have brought in the motions, the person who is standing out is Murkomen. Murkomen, you are not Sakad, you never brought in a motion. You are not Kangata, you didn't bring in a motion. You're not I mean,
they are adjournment.
What is this discussion about the revenue sharing?
No,
and what is the conflict?
we were removed, the Committee of Finance had really struck a compromise on the best way we would move forward in terms of the county allocation revenue formula. And Senator Mahmood from Mandera was guiding the process, and Mandera was the county that was losing most. So he, apart from being the chair, he was able now to bring to the table the arguments of those counties that were losing so that we find a compromise. When the committee was done with its report and it was about to table, I now understand, it is now becoming clear to me, with the benefit of hindsight, that part of the reasons why we were removed in a hurry was this formula, you know. So I was removed and Senator Mahmood removed it quickly, yeah, and the committee reconstituted, and then someone was brought, and that person came with a strange formula. And the formula they brought was to disenfranchise 18 counties, but not just disenfranchise them, but with huge, rob them of huge amounts of money. Of 1.8 billion, 1.6, over 15 billion in only 18 counties, that the 18 counties were losing from a similar allocation that was given to them last year. And it was, and we felt like this was unjust. I was not among the first people to initiate the process of coming up with a compromise. What happened is that when the motion came to the floor and the leadership realized that there was resistance to it, some of us say that consensus must be found. And the leadership of the majority and minority side told Senator Mutula and Senator Sakaja to work on a compromise. And so a team was put together to do a compromise, which is Sakaja, led by Sakaja and Mutula, but with also the losers coming to the table. And when they sat, they agreed on a formula that retains the allocations at the level that was there last year, and then anything that is extra above will be put on, you apply the new formula, which is a variation of the CRA. When that was done, former Prime Minister issued a press statement, so saying that I support CRA and blah blah blah, making his position public. So what happened? Our colleagues in the ODM ran away. Senator Orengo, actually, who was the leader of this baby that Sakaja and Mutula were running, ran away for political reasons and left the baby with Sakaja and Mutula.
Why is it called A plus B?
Yeah, so A was the constant, which was the 316 billion. No county should lose what they used to get when it was 316 billion. And since the 316.5 has not been increased, start from now 316.5, apply the formula on anything that government will allocate, so which was a better compromise. So when that happened, those people ran away. Now we had to step in, and help the team that was left with this baby on their hands. And so I joined the team that was supporting Sakaja's amendment. We mobilized ourselves, and surprisingly, I am surprised that in the House, the leadership didn't realize that was the majority. And when we went to the floor, the Kangata came with amendment, which got lost, and so forth. So when we were going for the next debate, I realized that there was room also to accommodate more people who wanted to start gaining, like the Meru Senator, the Kericho Senator, the Bomet Senator, start gaining by reducing the base. And so when Linturi came up with that proposal, we all supported him to reduce the base to 270. Then Mandera, which was losing about 2 billion, will now lose 250 million only. And so the losses are reduced significantly. And then Kiambu and Nandi and Nairobi, which are a big population, start gaining at average of 200 and below. That formula is the one we passed yesterday in amending the report. So the report at the moment, as it is amended to reflect the formula that Linturi.
Okay, an amendment of Linturi
as varied by Sakaja, as Sakaja's amendment as varied by Linturi, further amended by Linturi, is the report that is now passed. if all other reports fail, if all other reports fail that are being brought now, that is the report that we will have on the floor of the House, and that's the one that is going to govern. But the events of yesterday were extremely sad. That when it became again evident that we were the majority side was. The group that was in the majority were going to defeat all the other amendments. Sadly, you saw the filibustering, the stories that people were giving, the rules were broken. I moved a motion for mover to reply, which is allowed in the Standing Orders 104, and has been applied every other time in the Senate. And when we moved that motion, the Speaker never ruled on it, just the same way he has never ruled on how we were removed because he didn't have the numbers. It's just become a consistent behavior of the Speaker. Then there was a motion that was moved earlier that the House sits until we finish the business in the order paper, that particular report. By the rules of the Senate and the Standing Orders, if such a decision is made, you only vary it by making another decision. So the House did not vary that decision. And then abruptly, the House adjourned. And from nowhere, the Speaker says we'll meet on Thursday. There is no calendar indicating that we are supposed to meet on Thursday. We didn't pass a resolution on the floor of the House when to resume or when to come back. So we are just, so the Speaker stood up and said, okay, we meet on Thursday to complete the main ini. And then we...
That was the end of the story.
Yeah, that's the end of the story.
Now that you mentioned it, Mheshimiwa, you've mentioned the same thing. There's a discussion we've been having here, the four of us, about the revenue sharing. What is it about in terms of who has interest and all that? And I saw your tweet yesterday at 9 p.m., then 10:35 p.m. We said we have been lusakad once again, but we shall remain focused. Oh, Senate, where's your soul?
Yeah.
Where is your conscience? Where is your spirit? There seems to be a feeling that there's someone who's pulling the strings in the Senate, as you rightfully put it. What is the interest in the debate? Is it about really giving Mwananchi value, or there are people who are pulling those strings for their own political ends or whatever ends? And when you say you have been lusakat, what does that mean, Mheshimiwa?
There has been consistency in the Speaker. The most consistent thing about our Speaker is his inconsistency in the applying the rules. And so it was once again a time where a House adjourned abruptly. It's not the first time. It happened again 2 weeks ago. Deputy Speaker did the same. The Speaker came abruptly to the House when we were being removed in May. Was it May? Just entered the House, I think May 12 or 11. He just entered the House and from nowhere read a statement that did not have the facts, didn't have the number of people who signed the document and so forth, and said he will make substantive decision later. He has never made it up to now. Last night there were various, as I have already explained, rulings that were required from the Speaker. He never made the ruling. And finally, he just said, okay, now it's time to adjourn. And so lusakaring will become
Is it your lusakad abruptly?
a word in the dictionary of the Parliament, because it denotes a house that is no rules. That's, to quote Senator Orengo, it turns the Senate to be a kangaroo court, a place where there are absolute no rules. Rules are applied the way they wish. And I really was imploring Senator Orengo and the senior lawyers who are in the House and senior legislators that it's becoming very sad. It's becoming very sad that they are presiding over breach of rules that they helped draft. But most importantly, these are people who fought for expansion of the democratic space are now becoming part and parcel of constricting of that space, and them now being in leadership are presiding over a process where the rules are being breached. If I was still majority leader, even if I wanted something from the Speaker, I would never allow a situation where the rules are being broken in the manner in which that is done, because then I'll need to apply. And I speak from experience. I have been a Speaker's panel, so I presided over the House several times between 2013 and 2016, before I became the deputy majority leader. The rules are very important. When you sit there, even when you be come from either side of the house. What is very important is your impartiality, because it goes to the record of the house for many years. People never care the political party you are serving. They'll just realize that you are going, moving with the wind.
All right. So before I move to the next question, so that I can give these guys an opportunity, we're going to ask you a question on the same revenue thing. Yesterday, it seemed like you were actually getting a win against the other guys that you want to say. Yeah. It looks like your side was getting a win. Yeah. And then suddenly you were suckered, and now you were saying it was adjourned. Yeah. I saw it. It was very clear that the state, even for Orengo was saying that we must fix this thing today.
Yeah.
What does it mean? What does adjournment mean? Is there chances that in between now and Thursday, you guys are going to lose this debate?
No, well, I don't know. I don't know what they will do to change the 25, because 18 are losers. The 7 of us who counties who are not losing but believe in patriotism and fairness and justice are so solid that nothing will change our position. So I don't know what they intend to do between now and tomorrow. And I don't know why people don't want to admit that when they are wrong, and they give in and move on. The more we give, look, we have voted 3 times. The side where we belong have won 3 times. So I don't think anything changes. It just embarrasses the Senate and those who are pursuing this. And they keep telling us that this is from State House. The president has said, the former prime minister has said, and so forth. But those things never matter in the Senate. What matters is the interest of the counties, Article 96. And the checks and balances the Senate provides requires a Senate that is independent-minded. Yeah.
All right. I'll give my panelists an opportunity to ask you a couple of questions. I'll we move to the next question. Okay. All right. Okanga.
Yes. Thank you so much, Backbencher Majority Leader Onesimus Murkomen. I've followed this senator for quite some time now, and I really admire what he does, because, he's a real mobilizer. He was not one of the proposals of those amendments, but it just came from nowhere. In fact, your county was gaining.
Correct.
And you came to save the other counties that were losing.
Correct.
So that is selflessness. But there's something I've noticed, Mheshimiwa. In the Senate, there seems to be a group of senators who are very vocal. In fact, one of your students, you just told us, Ochila Yako complained the day you moved the motion to adjourn, that there are others who are not speaking. But I've seen a vibrant team. Ledama, Murkomen, Eno Kwambua, Cherergei, Cheriot. Is it by design, or it is just that these senators know what they went to do in the Senate? Because I know of so many senators, some of them are my friends, but I don't see them speak. In fact, the camera just picks them when they're seated on the other gallery, the other side. So I've always wondered, how do you guys decide that we are going to take this show and we are going to speak on behalf of Kenyans and for our counties? Because is it by design? How is it?
By the way, you are only judging the other senators because of these controversial debates or that attract great attention, like this one.
Yes.
But even the others whom you don't see them speaking, they speak. Yes. They speak. It may not be at that particular subject matter, but in other subject matters you will see them speaking. Or I don't think this is one of the Senate that I think 90-something percent, 95% of the senators speak more often. Yes. Very few don't speak. Of course, we have only one party leader who doesn't speak there, and
we say we are bold. You can name them, but you don't speak.
This is the tackle. This is the tackle, Mheshimiwa.
I think by design, my friend Senator Gideon Moi doesn't speak.
This is the tackle.
And I do not know. I've never seen him in any media interview. Neither have I seen him in any debate in the Senate. And it's a personal choice, So I think there are those who by design don't want to talk like him. But there are those who there was in the past a situation where there are those who are challenged who are unable to speak.
Yes.
Yeah, we don't have that struggle in the Senate this term that much. 1 or 2 people, but I think everybody has spoken in the House, and maybe not as often as some of us. The current debate has just thrust most of us to the limelight, and we are vocal in nature. Also, we are very active in social media, so that perhaps gives us more latitude and publicity, as you say. But in the terms of the young senators you've mentioned,
Yes.
I think also there is a conscious recognition in each one of us that, as I said earlier, legacy is what you do every day, and in every subject matter you must, make a decision. You don't become a watermelon. Your position must be known on issues, and I think there is that an extra consciousness among these senators you mentioned that they need to make their contributions now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, my last question to you, Mheshimiwa. It's a debate that I've seen you participate in actively. You have given your opinion, a very strong opinion. You have attended some of the rallies when they used to happen. It's the reggae debate. And I remember one day you went to Kitui with Moses Kuria.
Yeah.
And he was forced to sit down.
Yes.
He was
And
Lusaka.
actually, the word is you guys stormed in. And this debate is not going to end anytime soon, because we saw the other day the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga just say that, the reggae was on a break. Reggae is coming back very soon. I have seen you debate about some of these issues. And I just want to ask you, because this is the tackle. When and if this debate ends up at the Senate, will we see the type of coordination that is happening today? Young senators, vibrant, vocal, opinionated, and very intelligent, giving issues, debating, and thrashing issues out. Are we likely to see that? And what is generally your take on the BBI, particularly now that you know what is happening in Kenya, the corona, and so on and so forth?
First of all, one of the reasons that was given for our removal, or removal of those who are called Ruto men, both in National Assembly and the Senate, and Ruto women, they rarely say Ruto women, but Ruto men, because women were also removed, is that we were a stumbling block to BBI and referendum, and that this BBI and referendum needed to be passed through National Assembly, and that must be done National Assembly and the Senate, generally Parliament, and must be done by people who are trusted to pass through the process. The thing I'll say, which is very clear now, is that if BBI has the same divisive issues, as I understand, about which counties should be added constituencies and which one should lose constituencies, which county should have more money and which one should lose the money. If it will have the same debate about, which I believe it does, it's now become even very clear to my colleagues that whom we are dealing together on this revenue issue. It's become so clear to them that actually it is the manner in which the president and the former prime minister are coordinating in pushing this formula is probably a precursor to what is contained in the BBI report. And the BBI report has requires, if it's constitutional amendment, requires 2/3. This one only required simple majority. Now, if you can't raise simple majority, I am wondering how you can raise the 2/3 to push these very unpopular recommendations in the, I suppose, in the BBI report. But as we discuss now, BBI is a conjecture. An amendment of the constitution is still theoretic because of the circumstance we are dealing with. We are dealing with COVID-19 in terms of the pandemic itself and the impact of the pandemic on the economy. It will be irresponsible for the president to spend more time thinking about amending the constitution. He should be thinking about implementing the current constitution and in investing in the economy. But if the BBI process and the report that will come to Senate and it will be for the benefit of the country, definitely we'll support it. We are not blinded because it was who started it. as I told you, even this process of standing with these smaller counties, it didn't have to have started with Murkomen. I remember a quote, I don't remember by who, that says that we will do a lot if we don't care who takes the credit. So if we are ready to do the right thing, it doesn't matter who takes the credit. Ultimately, if BBI comes with this divisive agenda, I want to tell them that it's dead on arrival.
Even before it arrives. All right, Aoko, then we come to you, Dennis.
Mheshimiwa, good to see you.
Thank you.
I'm on your corner because of two key things.
Okay.
Number one, on the fair thing, which means you gel with my ideology that women should stop commercializing relationships. Yeah. And number two, yesterday you used the word filibustering, and I saw senior counsel Orengo rushing to grab his digital dictionary. Yeah. And you know I am a sucker for pompous words, but that's just on a light note. Yeah. On the issue of revenue allocation, why are we not having a discourse on accountability?
Okay.
In regards to, we can talk about why County A needs more money than County B, but how about the counties that demand more? Let's say if County A should be given more than County B, why not County A clearly elucidate how they manage to use their past money and some empirical means applied so that we see you were given this money, this is how you used it, and that is why you deserve more money than County B. So it's all about accountability. If counties angle for more money, yet we see that the common mwananchi do not get the services that they demand, and devolution actually came so that the services can be brought closer to the people, and we do not see these services impacting on the lives of the people, then why are we so much on how much money counties are supposed to get when accountability is missing?
Thank you very much. Well, first of all, on your ideology, I think, as I said earlier, there should be no top-down approach in terms of relationships. It should be about common interests of the two, and it doesn't matter who is endowed at a particular time, but it should be about what are we building going forward. And couples and families have different ways where they structure their resources. Some share accounts, some everybody keeps their accounts. Ultimately, if your decision is to live together forever until death does you apart, then there is no reason why you should panic about how you're going to work where and so forth. I don't think it should be about commercialization unless it is a commercial one. It's an official commercial relationship. Number two is on the revenue. Yeah. You raise a very important issue on accountability. One of the parameters for the county allocation revenue formula is on financial prudence. So from last formula in 2016, we added financial prudence as an important component in giving money to counties. And so we give 1%. 1% of money is shared to counties depending on how they have been prudent in managing their finances based on the reports of the Auditor General and the control of budget. And then 1% is shared to counties that are doing well in terms of their revenue collection, on-source revenue, to encourage those counties that will raise higher or will meet their targets in terms of on-source revenue to even work harder. 1% of the money is given to counties based on that parameter. But on accountability, I must say that we must separate the two, because you've seen the argument that's being made that, we should not give Mandera more money and Wajir, those people are not accounting for the money. What are they doing with that money? But you ask only those questions about marginalized counties. That's a question that applies across the board. Yeah. Yes. It's the same way national government would say, we can't give counties more than 316 billion because the argument is that corruption is thriving in the counties. But there is no greater corruption in this country than that which thrives in the national government. And yet we don't make the same arguments for national government. So we must first say what is the rightful share for marginalized areas like Tana River, like Samburu, like Tarakanidhi, like all those places, Wajir, Mandera, Samburu, this place of Turkana. All these places must first be given the right amount of the resources. Then the next question, which will apply across the board, is, okay, we have given you the right money. What is the accountability mechanisms that are in place? We are going to charge certain people for stealing the money. This money is not being applied. The absorption capacity of the county is unable to absorb the resources, and so forth. That conversation should be separated from allocating the money, rightful share of resources to deserving counties.
All right, Dennis, very quickly, that we move to the next two topics before we...
Excellent. Senator Murkomen, very many thanks for making time to come and speak to Wananchi. And this show thrives on the precept of churning out civic education.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask you three strong questions, because this is the tackle. The first one is based on the doctrine of separation of powers. Is the Senate under capture, or is it now a mere shadow of the executive? You remember in the days of Waigoro, and even going forward, there was the tagline that Senate Nyaswiti, not to pour a cold water on this conversation. Number two, Senator Kangata has intimated that he's receiving directives from above. So is the Senate under capture, and have we now witnessed the death of the doctrine of separation of powers?
Senate is like many other independent institutions in the country is struggling with there is a ferocious attack from all sides, but most important from the executive, and there is a desire for the executive to capture all the independent institutions. That's why you don't hear all these human rights bodies doing their job as they should, because most of them now, the appointees, the second generation of appointees after 2010, are people who have been appointed with political interest and with a desire to get keep for certain people. That's the same thing that has been happening in the Senate. The changes in leadership in both Senate and National Assembly was meant to create room for gatekeepers to implement that which they are going to be told. If you see the confusion that is taking place in National Assembly and the Senate, and but most importantly the Senate for this purpose, in terms of leadership direction, is because the people who are appointed to come to office were appointed to that office with certain instructions in mind, and they are unable to operate independent of those instructions, and as a result, they are always in conflict between what they believe in and what is required of them by the appointing authority. So once in a while, and throughout this period, Senate has been struggling to find its place, and in the impeachment processes, politics took precedent over the law. But when it came to this division of revenue, I am very proud of the senators that stood against all these intimidations. People were told they will be arrested, they will be abducted, they will be charged, they will be done, all these kind of things. And they've stood firm on this revenue division of revenue formula. And there is a respect on both sides for those of us who stood firm to defend those counties, and I respect also those who are trying to push their counties to get money. The thing is, that is what it should be. It should not be so much about what the executive requires. And I dare say that if the leadership had been left to make a rational decision and work together with the Senate, and had there been even consultation at the party level where people sit down to do consultations, I think the product would have been better, and consensus would have been used to pass this formula issue. But I can tell you that if you want to know that Senate is under capture, see the decisions of the Speaker. You know, he cannot explain his own decisions because he has an end to achieve, but the process does not allow him to go there. So he ends up making declarations like the one we had last night, where houses are adjourned without the procedure, where rulings are not made on point of orders on matters of law and procedure, where decisions are being made abruptly. The only thing they have been unable to convert is our vote, and that is a very important tool that we want to stick with.
Excellent. Thank you very much. The second question is, and it's very hard to delineate you and the deputy president.
Yeah.
But I'll ask a question that would touch in.
Yeah.
The deputy president has been known to be a friend of Central Province, or rather Mount Kenya.
Yes.
And there has been a tweet war
Yeah.
indicating that your position on revenue allocation may hurt the mountain, or perhaps eventually hurt his eminence in the mountain, given that there's a fight for this bride from Raila Odinga, Morad endorsements, and thereabout. What is the truth?
The truth is that the very clear truth is that I have voted against my I voted with my conscience, and there is no truth in the argument that that formula was benefiting Mount Kenya region. To the contrary, it was benefiting my region. The biggest beneficiaries were Wasingishu, Nandi, Elgeyo Marakwet, West Pokot, Baringo, and you have Kericho and Bomet, and Nakuru. Rift Valley was the biggest beneficiary. Mount Kenya region, of the 22 top counties that were gaining in that skewed formula, only 2 came from Mount Kenya. So the argument that it was a Mount Kenya formula is also
One man,
fake.
1 shilling.
In fact, it's not even 1 man, 1 shilling, because in 1 man, 1 shilling, Nairobi should be given 30 billion.
Correct.
So that conversation was being driven by people who wanted to drive a wedge between deputy president and even myself with people of Mount Kenya. They must ask themselves, where do I get the courage to stand for truth, even though standing for the other formula would have given Elgeyo Marakwet 300 million. Where do I get that courage? Because they should not worry so much about my stand vis-a-vis Mount Kenya. They should worry about my stand vis-a-vis my county. And as I explained yesterday, the people of my county would not be happy for me to go and tell them I am a hard-working senator who robbed money from hospitals in Isiolo and health workers in Tana River and all these people in smaller and marginalized areas. They should be proud of me if I push national government to give greater allocation to counties so that Elgeyo Marakwet share goes up. And my stand, therefore, should not be analyzed vis-a-vis other regions. It must be just analyzed vis-a-vis my vote as a senator of Elgeyo Marakwet. And I have explained myself to my people that we need more money. But let's not be cheated that money should come from robbing other counties' money to come to our county. That is really setting sister counties in unnecessary and unhealthy competition that breeds hatred in the country, and in future that prepares the ground for the same injustice to be applied on the people of Elgeyo Marakwet County. So those who are talking about Mount Kenya and all the other regions, please come with the numbers. Show us between Rift Valley and Mount Kenya who was gaining more in this formula. Number 2, show us, between my interest to protect my county and the national interest and Mount Kenya, where should my analysis be based? It should be based on I voted against it, more money going to Elgeyo Marakwet County. I should not be told I voted against Mount Kenya getting money, because that is a very convoluted argument. Doesn't make sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for that. You've picked a side, of course, in politics, and you're a strong supporter.
Very quickly, Dennis.
Of course, correct. In fact, you've been touted as a possible AG if he forms the government. And there was a talk yesterday. Number one, I need to ask you, going towards the elections, are you afraid of the systems, as you have intimated that they now may have the instruments of power? They have the institutions which they are corrupting, the institutions like IBC that administrate a free, fair and credible election, and tie that to what do we expect with a Ruto presidency?
First of all, there has been, system is a euphemism for bureaucrats in government who are facing uncertain future at a season of succession. They then conglomerate themselves and say we are the system. They call themselves the deep state, but if they were deep enough, they would have finished what we had in the Senate a long time ago. If there was a system, we could not be having the situation we have in the Senate.
Correct.
So the so-called system are actually most of them are civil servants at a senior strategic government positions who are facing uncertain future. Some are unelectable, so they hope they can manipulate the results of an election so that then they can retain the positions they hold. Number one, they must learn. Nobody in senior government position retains the same position when a new administration comes.
Correct.
Notwithstanding your contributions to that government. And I see Uhuru Kenyatta's government, Kibaki government, and everybody else's government. Number two is to tell them that systems have failed, and so-called deep state has failed from 1968. In 1978, when they wanted to change the constitution to bar President Moi succeeding former President Jomo Kenyatta.
Correct, yes.
They failed. System wanted Uhuru Kenyatta to be president 2 on 2. They terribly failed. In fact, Mike Kibaki became president because system was trying to manipulate everything.
Correct.
In 2013, I was there. I'm not giving you a reported speech. I was there. I was negotiating this Jubilee arrangement. President Uhuru Kenyatta was so pushed by the system until he even handed over the ticket of Jubilee candidature to Musalia Mudavadi for about a week, or was it 2 weeks?
Madimoni.
And then the people protested, and then he had to reverse his decision. So the issue is that, and the system that time, the argument was that, Hague is, we have Hague coming, and we don't want, can you imagine a president facing charges in court and so forth? System has consistently failed. And I want to remind them that the presidency of William Ruto or any other person who will be elected will serve the interests of the people of Kenya. And people should not panic. And our nation has already come of age where it doesn't matter who comes to office. The rest of the people who are there will go home, retire, or they find a place in the same government. And life continues.
All right. We have a segment, Mheshimiwa, called Bunge la Mwananchi.
Yes.
We are going to, that's where we take calls from Mwananchi.
Okay.
Uweza kuzungumza now. But before I open the Bunge la Mwananchi, Aoko says she has one question. Very quickly, Aoko. Very quickly.
Mheshimiwa, mine
Ura
is just...
mutalipia lunch ya mheshimiwa wako. Unajua ikifika lunch time atataka kukula.
Mheshimiwa ndiye atanunulia girl child lunch.
Alishakula fare girl child. Arudisha mkono.
That's a tackle.
Correct.
Mheshimiwa, mine is hinged on the 2022 elections. Sorry. The deputy president came out yesterday without his gloves, ready to box the so-called system. Like I like the word used, some phantom, some edifice, and the question has been the numbers, because he said as long as he has the numbers. And
I think it's on the video of the day, so maybe we can forward that to the video.
Yeah, and my question is, as a supporter or one of the people who are in the circles of DP Ruto, you've hinged on his 2022 campaign on hustler versus dynasty debate. You call yourselves the hustler. So there are some of us who probably would want to, angle ourselves with DP Ruto, but we want to see what is his ideology, what is his character, what is his manifesto, what are his principles. But now when you talk about hustlers and us versus them, then we shy away from probably wanting to identify with his politics. So what are you doing probably as some of the sagacious and independent and intellectuals around DP Ruto who want to capture the likes of Aoko, who want to see politics of character?
Thank you. First of all, being a hustler does not mean you will not graduate to become a rich person. It is only distinguished vis-a-vis status quo. And if you see hustler dynasty debate, it is not directed on a particular individual. It is only the ideology here is that if we want to build a nation where a son of nobody can rise through the ranks to become somebody. And that Murkomen, who has been a senator, cannot push also an agenda of saying the Murkomen family must succeed Murkomen as senator of Elgeyo Marakwet County. The people of Elgeyo Marakwet, just the way they elected me, must have the time when they are tired with Murkomen, they must appoint or elect another person whom they want to elect, notwithstanding whether it comes from a rich family or it comes from a poor family, but at least a decision of the people.
Yes.
The hustler narrative is based on hard work of supporting small scale enterprises, believing that a chicken seller will be an hotel owner one day, or that growth from nobody to somebody, like you put it clearly, like Martin Luther King Jr. said, that where people are not judged by the
color of their skin, content of their character.
In this situation, you are not being judged by the stature of your family, whether they are renowned or not the amount of money you have in the bank or the business you control in the country. It must be based on your ability to convince people that you have manifesto, your programs that can change the lives of the people of Kenya. So the hustler narrative has moved from just saying poor people, let's vote for each other. No, it's bigger than that. It's that create opportunity for everybody to be able to thrive.
Yes.
Yeah. So if I think at the opportune time, and I have had the deputy president tell us in some meetings that in the opportune time, he's going to make an explanation, to dissuade these people who are talking about we are targeting rich families and so forth. No, it must be your effort. Even if you come from rich family or not, let your effort determine. You hustle your way up. Don't just jump on the name of your father or the wealth that you have or whatever and say, okay, now because of this, I want to be president.
Yeah. And I believe, Mheshimiwa, you guys around the DP need to push that one even further. The onus is on you people now to push the agenda that this is not about where we are coming from.
Correct.
Because some of us, like you've rightly said, people should not be voted courtesy of their families. So the dynasties, they do not own Kenya, but also the hustlers. We do not need to vote you because you came
You're
from
poor.
a poor government.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So push it that different narrative, like you've said, it should be bigger than poor versus rich. And you'll rope in some of us, I guarantee you.
Thank you very much. And I am glad the signs are there because we need as many people as possible.
You can see the sign.
And the DP likes telling us MPs when we meet, he says, guys, we have elections that is coming in 2022. I don't want to tell you, let me win and we come and form government. I want everybody to form this government. It becomes like they are shareholders in the future of their country, so that then they can demand certain results because they were part and parcel of the process of formation. And I challenge and invite you, Aoko, to also get your corner of your contribution. There is enough space in the Hustlers Mansion. There are many rooms.
like the God's kingdom. Like the God's kingdom.
And each one of us can be able to occupy a particular corner and make a contribution to make the country better.
In fact, I want to give you a tackle, Mheshimiwa. You see these two people, Aoko and Fred.
Yes.
Fred, first of all, needs to go and have tea.
Yeah.
At the Hustlers Mansion. He needs to get a feel of how Hustler treats fellow Hustlers. These guys feed on a lot of propaganda on this street. So they need to get maybe some straight feel.
Maybe Okango, do I look like the type who is susceptible to propaganda?
No. Going by your tweets. No, even Fred not. But I'm just saying the DP should spend more time with the people who don't like him.
Yes.
More than us who like him.
Yeah. So I'll need to pull this down.
And there is nothing wrong with that. You learn more by engaging your critics than those who already converted to your cause.
Yeah.
And I think that when the opportunity comes for those who are not with him, like Oko and Fred and so forth, they should be able to go there and say, no, we don't agree with you on 1, 2, 3, 4. Can you change? Like she's telling me here, this narrative of hustler is alienating telling other people, can you change to this direction?
Sorry, you can drop in more people.
You know, Gerald,
Yeah.
me, I'm on record, and I've looked for Mheshimiwa, and he knows he's my friend.
Yes.
I've looked for him several times, and if there's number one hustler,
Yeah.
I'm one of them, because I
think you become
the only difference,
an hustler for
the only
convenience
difference
purposes.
when they go to the hustler Mheshimiwa, and this one I'll tell you as a lawyer so that you will represent me in the future. These gentlemen, the two of them, they hide.
Yeah.
And then now they don't carry Okango because Okango's political stand. Hivi ni mtu wapunguza mzigo. Na hustler wanasema kuna mzigo. Sasa hiyo maneno tutaongea siku nyingine.
Sasa hiyo siku nyingine tutapanga. Haya, Mheshimiwa, very quickly before we move to we go to the video of the day, then we open up the lines. You've been a very serious critic of the takeover of Nairobi County by the NMS. You've been a serious, and you actually come out very strongly. That almost slipped, and I think you should not, especially given at a time when we are actually in a crisis as residents of Nairobi County and people expect services from Nairobi County. You've been very specific and very categorical that the takeover of Nairobi County by NMS is illegal, and you've called it militarization of democracy. I mean, in a nutshell, it's really given at the backdrop of what happened yesterday, where the speaker resigned. What still? Do you still believe that it's really wrong what the president is doing with Nairobi County? And what is the future of devolution on that note?
Nairobi County has been illegally and unconstitutionally Nairobi County government has been illegally and unconstitutionally overthrown by an entity called Nairobi Metropolitan Service. The conversation around transfer of functions is provided for under Article 187 of the Constitution. And transfer of functions was not supposed to be transfer of all functions. It was supposed to be you must do functional analysis and see what function is better performed at a national level and then what at a county level. And then some is because of economies of scale, like for example, vaccination. If a county was supposed to do vaccination in Nairobi and there is an outbreak of a disease that covers 10 counties, it's better to transfer the resources and the function to national government for them to do that, to carry out that responsibility. If you were to deal with matters of, say, environmental protection, you transfer a specific component. You cannot transfer 90% of functions of county government to the national government and say that is still called transfer functions.
Okango.
Yeah.
Okango has been a serious defender of this.
No, I'm not.
So, and other purpose, Mheshimiwa, by the way, as a lawyer, and this is your fellow lawyer.
Yeah, that's.
Avi has declared this as illegal. You have declared it as illegal.
Let me explain myself because law.
This guy has been defending this guy.
Interpretation.
He has his view in terms of interpreting. So in terms of this transfer is illegal. It's akin to complete takeover of those functions. And then if you see now after the transfer, because I am speaking as a person who drafted the law itself. I was in the task force on devolved government, and we worked on the Intergovernmental Relations Act, where you find there the transfer functions part. And if you go and read our report, the report of the task force on devolved government, is very brief on transfer functions because the issue was not expected to be to affect all functions. In fact, in every part of the world where transfers occurred, it has not been about county to national. It's been in most cases national to county.
To county, yes.
Because even in the US, they use what we call an allocation, conditional allocation to state to tell them to manage a disaster, for example. But there is a situation where the disaster reaches a proportion where the county cannot manage. They transfer to or the state. They transfer to national government with the resources. So I just want to say, and capacity and so forth. I want to say, first of all, legally speaking, what we are seeing in Nairobi is a precursor for something dangerous in the country, where the national government, when they have an issue with a political problem with any county in the country, what they will do first to charge the governor, then they tell him to step aside. then they take over the functions of this county, and then they emasculate politically those counties. As a result of what happened in Nairobi, the old governors across the country have become extremely timid, extremely timid, and now they are being ruled without any questions. The last time a governor was asking questions was when Nanok was chair of COG, and it was before elections. Yeah, you cannot see in the current governors, even if they elect a new one next year, you will not see the vibrancy that you saw in Isaac Ruto or in Peter Munya or now or Nanok. You will see an Oparanya and below. Yeah, where the council of governor chair is punctuating his speech. Every one sentence will say, "Mr. President, thank you, President." His Excellency President. So that level of sycophancy,
it's an insurance.
It's an insurance, yeah, that level of sycophancy is meant to give governors the insurance to protect themselves from being charged in court. If you want to know how low we've sunk, no single governor from the 18 losing counties issued a press statement to condemn the formula. Not a single governor, not even the most vocal Joho. He actually switched off his phone.
He's on TikTok.
He's only hiding somewhere in TikTok. Yeah?
They fear Karura.
Yeah. Of course, a few of them have been able to speak to their senators and support and push for a lobby for this. But publicly, you will not find a senator, governor, because they were told it's president's agenda. And the moment they speak publicly, and I really understand where they come from, they will quickly be called to record a statement in EACC, and you will hear they have been charged and told to step aside. And then, the rest is maladministration in the county and chaos, the way we saw in Nairobi. So the history of Nairobi is terrible. Number two, even that NMS that has been established, it is perplexing that in a civilian government, you bring active military generals to come and run a civilian government. It is unheard of, I would understand if I don't know his name of the NMS chair. I'm told it's called Saddam Hussein. It's called who?
It's called Badi, but Songore calls him Saddam Hussein.
Yeah, I really laughed at that when I heard Songo say Saddam Hussein. It's only now, after that, when I looked at his picture, he looked like he resembled Saddam Hussein.
Is that incarnate?
I would understand if he had resigned from military and now he's now a retired general. He's a civilian now running county government, and he's bringing his experience in military to run. Because I know for sure running a county like Nairobi County has the potential of a lot of procurement problems and financial challenges. The day now an audit will be done about the term of NMS and the general being in office body, and it is found that money was misappropriated. And therefore, he needs to go and record a statement in EACC and thereafter charged in court. But he's a military general. What kind of country is that? What kind of image are you even creating for our military? Yeah, what kind of image are you creating about management of affairs of our country? So again, in terms of as an example, militarization of county governments, and the continuous appointments of these kind of persons to run the county. I hear what that equivalent of what that means and so forth are policemen in Nairobi. We are quickly, slowly going to a military state instead of a civilian state.
All right.
And assuming that was to be done in Mombasa, Kisumu, Nakuru, and Eldoret.
We get rid of democracy.
We got rid of
Actually, these guys recommended that all the counties should be taken over by Saddam Hussein. These guys
No. I mean, that is not true. What I've said.
You recommended that.
Service.
You see, you're a very good man when your senior is here, but when he leaves,
Mheshimiwa knows that the objects of devolution and the principles. that is what Kenyans want to see.
Right.
It can be achieved, but I understand from his contribution that the way it was done, and the
It's
court
illegal.
made a determination
That
about
it's
that and
illegal.
asked them to correct that.
So we don't expect you again to recommend Saddam Hussein's to counties.
we'll
Please.
talk about-
All right. We go very quickly to the video
But
today.
let me say this. The process is as good as the product. Yeah.
Yes.
Even if NMS does fantastic things, yeah, and they are illegal in office, yeah,
The process is still illegal.
it cannot wash away the constitutional objective of a civilian government. That is not to say that Songo was a clean man or was more competent, more capable. The jury is out there. The issue is that the mechanism for disciplining county governors, you either impeach them, that's MCAs play a role. You can also, if they cannot be impeached, they are charged the way they were charged, you know. If they cannot be charged, you can also dissolve the whole county and people go for an election. And dissolution is a checkmate. It checkmates the county MCAs to perform their role, because dissolution means they also get
They
affected.
lose their jobs.
They lose their jobs, and we have whole elections in the county. So these mechanisms are supposed to deal with an administration that you think is unable to deliver to the people.
All right. So is that an eventuality? Very quickly.
I don't think it will happen, because the powers that be cannot want to face an election in Nairobi, because the first thing they fear is the handshake or what they call BBI. So
It will collapse.
if there will be a governor's race in Nairobi, then Jubilee must have its candidate, and NASA will have its candidate. So first of all, you will have something bigger than Kibra. What happened in Kibra. Number two is that the politics of Nairobi is so. It's like a referendum. It's like a midterm referendum on the performance of the government of the day. So that can easily be used to demonstrate the disaffection and dissatisfaction of citizens to the government of the day. So you avoid such big campaigns.
And also NASA will remember their NASA.
Yeah, exactly.
Then now start saying, Jubilee, you are failed. Where's the big agenda?
Do
We need to move to the video.
Do you think you'll bear different sentiments if the person who was in charge of NMS was not a military guy? Because this constitutionalism that we are talking about is very ambiguous to the common mananchi who wants their tap running with water, who wants their city to be clean. And if the NMS is able to deliver that, then all these things about illegality really is not helping the Wanjiko there, who just wants the services that they voted for, wanted, and they did not see probably. And we are also talking about Nairobi County. We need to put this in context, because probably Nairobi is different from Turkana or Kisumu or Migori, because we are talking about the capital city of this country.
The struggle initially was to ask ourselves, was it necessary to have Nairobi as a county? That was the initial debate, but that was passed way before the 2010 constitution, because the people were saying Nairobi should not be a county, it should be like Washington DC, which is a seat of federal government, and does not have a governor and so forth. And then we'll have, like Abuja, we'll have a person appointed by the president, an NMS.
Okay.
The NMS we are seeing now is the Abuja thing, but the Abuja one is the president is the boss of the Abuja itself, and then he appoints a minister to act on his minister in the office of the president to run Abuja. So that debate was passed. If we are going to be faithful to our constitution, we cannot get shortcuts so that we make justification that the end is good. So therefore, it doesn't matter what the process was. So we shouldn't be able to say the end justifies the means. The means is as important in constitutional law.
Yeah.
The constitution itself, the actions of a state officer and the process of arriving at that action are equally important. So the process and the product must be important. Services to Nairobi will still be achieved, but let's not think about an MS period of 3 years or whatever. What is the future of Nairobi as a county
Sure.
and long?
Yeah.
And if we don't allow Nairobi to make its mistakes and correct, then how will we have a perfect county government, as county civilian government, to make the decision? So we must allow Songo and his team, we should have allowed Songo and his team to run this thing, its thing to an end, which could have resulted in an impeachment or a dissolution and so forth.
So that Nairobians can learn.
Then they can learn. They will the next elections elect another person, and then they elect another person. Until now, we perfect our system. But if we say every time, that is akin to saying, if the president of Kenya fails, we should tell the general, the head of the army, to take over Kenya, for
The Big Four agenda, because they are there
to implement the Big Four agenda, because this president has become so political and whatever. Let him step aside. So if you transport what is in the Nairobi County and go and say the same in national, it is the same.
That makes sense.
All right, so we move on to the video of the day.
Nilikuwa natishiwa siku hiyo, kama ningekuwa mtu muoga hatungeunda hii serikali ya Jubilee. Kama Uhuru Kenyatta angekuwa mtu muoga hatungeunda hii serikali ya Jubilee, kwa sababu tulikuwa tunatishiwa mambo mingi. Choices have consequences. Nyinyi hamufai kwa sababu mko na kesi ya kule na ni kesi ya uongo. Ni vile tu tunaambiwa hata saa hii. Tunatishiwa ati iko system, ati iko deep state, ati iko watu watatuibia kura. Hata mkipiga kura namna gani, kuna watu wameketi mahali fulani wataamua. Mimi nataka niwaambie, hawa watu tunawangojea. Hiyo deep state tunangojea, na hiyo system tunangojea. Watakuja na system, sisi tutakuja na wananchi na Mungu, na tutaona vile hii kazi itaendelea.
Hapo kuna mambo mheshimiwa. Wamesema, rais amesema, naibu wa rais amesema ya kwamba kumekuwa na vitisho kwa muda mrefu. Beginning from that time about a system that exists and about something called a deep state, ambao wamekaa mahali ndio wanapanga nani atakuwa nani wapi. It is also a very strong statement because of the way I saw it circulating yesterday and the comments that came with it. And also all the newspapers today have put it as an headline.
Yes.
You know, that I cannot be stopped. There are some people, I saw Makau Mutua, a good friend Makau Mutua, he come out yesterday and say that the deputy president has finally bear the president. To whom was this message directed? And is there a system, and is there a deep state somewhere?
As I said earlier, this is a cabal of civil servants who feel threatened by succession. Usually this deep state discussion always comes only when you are talking about succession. Deep state system, deep state system deny this, or you are talking about an election. You are facing an election. And this is politics of self-preservation, and these people are not homogeneous, and they are not as organized as sometimes they pretend. And part of their job is scaremongering, to scare people to submission. To make you repeat. Deep state will not do this. Then I have seen the former prime minister has now submitted that there is a deep state, even system. I saw my friend Oburu Odinga, who's a very good friend of mine, say that now we have the system. The system will give us the president. That is a complete illusion. It's a mirage. It's the same way Kalonzo was saying. Former Vice President Kalonzo Musyoka, who is also my friend, who was saying the deep state will determine, all this. So I don't know, between Kalonzo or Raila Odinga or any of these people. So deep state, whom do they believe they want to support? But the reality is that deep state is a very the weakest, disorganized, selfish, ambitious, rudderless, actually, organization of individuals who are only panicking about succession. This is succession fever at play, and no one should be scared of them or anybody that tells you that we are the system, we are the deep state. If the system was there, we could not have done repeat elections 2017. We lost the Supreme Court case. So system, there is nothing like system. System is just individuals that create this thing in their minds, and they want to use it as a system is a bogeyman of some sort to scare people to submission. Yeah, that is true.
All right, so we've opened bunge la mwenyeji, tumefungua bunge la mwenyeji, tunaenda kuchukua simu. All right, acha tuchukue simu tusikie watu wanasemaje. All right, good morning.
Hello.
Yes, good morning to you, sir.
Yes, my name is Onesimus Kipchumba.
Yes, sir.
I must say today is a very nice discussion. And in the foremost, I want to congratulate, I call you majority leader, I don't like the word foremost, because current compared to him is like comparing heaven and earth. And it is unfortunate that the biggest party in parliament is being led by a party that has 2 senators. It talks about the kind of leader we have at the top. I mean, how have we reduced our head of state to be commissioning pavement? It's never heard of. It's just crazy, so sad. So I say today as a young person, I'm very proud of what the young senators are doing in parliament.
Thank you.
I could never be more proud than I am today because of the young senators exhibiting the reason why we need young people in leadership today.
Asante sana Governor.
I want to add, yes.
As you close,
hello.
Ukifunga.
Yes, I just wanted to say that Senator Kipchumba, keep on soldiering on. The young people of this nation are behind you, and Sakaja and the rest. Do not let go of that book you have right now.
All right. Asante sana Governor. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hello. Good morning. It's
Hello, good morning. How are you?
Good morning to you, sir.
Yes, my name is Sami Meli.
Yes, sir.
An aspiring MP Charangani. I'm happy to see my senator, Onesimus Kipchumba Murkomen. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you, Sami.
You are one of the senators. Kwanza mimi ni mwalimu wako shuleni.
Thank you. I remember.
I am happy also to note that you have come up as one of the leaders that has national interest at heart.
Thank you.
We are following everything that you are doing in Senate. And sometimes I wonder where some of the senators get when they make some of the decisions, like the voting in the past few days. It has been quite a funny trend because these people do not understand that the Constitution is very clear. In Chapter 1, yes, Article 1, all sovereign power belongs to the people of Kenya. It shall be exercised only in accordance with the Constitution. So, if you are a clean person, the way some of the senators are doing their work up there, yes, if you have no dark corners, if you have no cockroaches in your closet, you should put national interest first.
They should speak out. All right. Asante sana, Sami.
Gerald, one more thing.
Very quickly.
Yes, quickly. About the counties, there are the devolved funds like the health sector. I sometimes pity the nurses and the doctors in the county level. Can't the senator look for a way of coming up with a bill so that the salaries of doctors and nurses are paid by the national government? Because if up to now some have not received salaries.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sami.
During this corona pandemic.
All right. Have a great day, sir. All right. Bye-bye.
Sawa.
Good morning.
Good morning, Gerald. Hi.
Hi, sir. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. This is Msikalia.
Msikalia vipi baba?
Poa sana, unajua lazima nicheze kama mimi.
Kabisa. Haya, ongelesha senata ndio.
Okay, labda kwanza ni kumsalamia tu alafu kisha juzi senator Gerald Bitoka alituletea bwana Sika, that is Caleb Kotusani.
Yes.
And there's a question I asked him and he said he doesn't speak for you. We thank God that you are here today.
Yes. Now
the question the question was that you are not currently the majority Senate leader. But then he was saying that the leadership must miss you there because of how you used to might be bring the senators together to support the government agenda in the Senate. And on the revenue bill, I think mmekuwa mkilumbana kule. And so what would have been different if you are now the majority leader in the Senate?
All right.
And then my next question would be, this thing of Asla Nation versus the dynasties. I think personally, I feel it's boring. Give us now what exactly is the agenda of this thing, because tunashindwa. What exactly is it? Is it us versus them? Then hata turuke nje basi email pia si ule ya tatu. If there is an agenda, give us the agenda, sir. As a young person, I want to listen to the agenda more than it is sisi kupigana na wale watu wengine. No.
Sawa. Sikunja makali.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
My name is Daniel.
Yes, Dennis.
I have a question for the senator.
Very quickly.
Now, he has said that the legislature is under state capture. So how does the legislature disentangle itself from the tentacles of the state capture?
All right. Okay. Thank you so much. All right. Hello. Good morning.
Morning.
Yes.
This is Sandra on call.
Sandra vipi? Asha 001.
Okay, first wacha nisalimie Senator Murkomen.
Asante sana, nimesalimika.
Kusema kongole kwa kazi nzuri ulifanya.
Asante sana.
Then sisi kama Wakenya, we hope you can still do the same. My other question for you, what are your plans for Senate? What are your plans post-Senate after your term is done as the Senator?
All right. Sasa, asante Sandra. Hello. Good morning.
Hello. Morning, Gerard.
Morning to you, sir. Very quickly.
I'm calling Hilary Lele.
Yes, sir. Very quickly.
Very quickly, Aoko raised a very pertinent issue concerning accountability at the county level. I would like to ask the senator. You see, at the county level, mostly the governor and almost all the MCAs come from one party, so the issue of oversight is usually a problem. And very quickly, you find that, like in Wasingishu, there is 15 nominated MCAs, which usually the governor has a leeway in nominating the people. So he actually has the forum to bypass issues like the recently acquisition of that NBK building. You see, most of the MCAs that passed the bill were actually nominated, who actually owes their nomination to the governor. So what can the senator maybe formulate a bill that will help in this kind of shortages that we experience at the county level?
Sawa, asante sana Hilary.
Okay.
All right, have a good day. All right, tumefunga malaini za simu. We have closed it because of time. Kesho bado ni siku, Mungu akipenda. Senator atatupa nafasi nyingine when he has time. All right, thank you. We close in the bunge la mwenye nchi. Sasa tupe mheshimiwa nafasi ya ajibu maswali alafu tuweze kufunga. Mheshimiwa.
Kwanza, let me start by saying that to Sami Meli, asante sana. I know him very well. I know he's an aspirant there, and Trans Nzoia is home for me. I live also in Trans Nzoia.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, that's why when Senator Mbito hakunitetea wakati nilikuwa natolewa, nikamwambia sasa, if my senator cannot even defend me, where does he expect me to go? But that will be a debate for some other time in future. Salaries of doctors and nurses, functions in the constitution itself. When you transfer a function, you transfer the resources.
Yes.
So resource include the human resource, and the salaries of doctors and nurses cannot be paid by counties. The debate, but Sami is right to the extent that this debate has been there since before the 2010 and after, about creation of national health services body that will put together all the health workers across the country. But that cannot happen unless we change the constitution to say that the health function of human resources remains and it reverts back to national government. But I don't think that is the problem. The problem, as I said, is resourcing counties. If we resource the counties well and appreciate that the health function is very important to be managed at a local level because you want to make it as targeted as possible. If we don't do that, then we will have a problem with health function for many years to come. So the real answer to Sami's question is giving more money to counties. And last year, as a majority leader, I stood very firm, opposed to the division of revenue bill that was only giving counties 316, tried to push it to go to 327 as CRA has recommended. Now, can you imagine how sad it is that even after we did that, this year again, they allocated the same 316.5. This is unfair for the counties. And you can see even the counties that are now struggling with all these human resource problems are being snatched of that very important resource. Number two is MC Kalia. What would be different if I was the majority leader? What would be different is that I would never present that agenda to the floor as it is. My duty and the duty of the leadership of the Senate is to shield the House from this kind of shenanigans by building consensus in the political party. And so engaging the president and engaging the parties that are involved until they now agree that this is something that is in national interest. People don't know that behind the scenes, when we are serving as majority leader, behind the scenes there is a lot that happens between you and the president and the party and the colleagues of National Assembly who are also party leaders. That is where you should take the battle. By the time you come to the floor, you've won the battle already because you are coming, having even convinced those who are pushing the agenda that now we have numbers. Even before you do that, you run through your colleagues to see to what extent is it acceptable across the board. And even when you have the numbers of your side, you must also ask yourself, what is the public interest in this issue? What is the possibility that even 5 counties that could be disenfranchised will injure, one, public interest, 2, the reputation of the president, and your party? Because you are operating in a party framework, you must shield your party from being considered a party that is fascist and divisive. That is the difference I would have made in this debate. And if I lost it there, then I would come and oppose it on the floor, knowing that I did my duty on the other side. And that has happened many times, especially on the division of revenue. The issue of Asla versus Dynasty. As I think there's no need to go back. If you go back to our debate earlier, as I said, it's beyond us versus them. It's about an ideology of making opportunities available for people who are or don't have opportunities to rise to positions and explore their potential. Number 2 is to end siasa ya madharau. And governance ya madharau and maisha ya madharau. Generally, this idea that they are the kings and the proletariat and they are the ones who are supposed to have and the have-nots is being addressed by this highest ideology of saying we are one nation under one God, with everybody, male, female, old, young, rich, poor, having the same space to pursue personal aspirations. And therefore, we are saying that when you say we the Aslas don't like this thing, we are saying we don't like Madarao. We want a nation that is founded on values that respect everybody. How do you disentangle ourselves from the state capture? I think we also discussed the same, that it is left to the individual conscience of the of every senator. The same way the gentleman from Wasingishu was asking about the role of the nominated MCAs. The people's interest. If I was in the side in the MCA that is pushing for a certain interest against the executive in the county, I would try first to build a coalition with the nominated, and I will help them see how they will build their career and their future, and by doing the right thing, you know, and implore upon them how they will also win, because most of these nominated MCAs want to run as MCAs next to an MP. So try to show them what the public require. So the idea is not just to be left to say, okay, this nominated should be snatched from the governor. The governor also is trying to make his case through the people he's able to make his case with, because he has an agenda to pass in any given county. It's the duty of those who are in parliament also who have a different view to try to persuade. The same way in the Senate. In the Senate now we have many nominated senators who have stood firm. Some are facing court cases, I mean disciplinary process of the party and so forth. But you know, that is the cost of standing firm. Sandra was asking what I'll do after my term ends in the Senate. I think 2 years is a long period of time. You know,
very slippery.
So we will cross that bridge when we get there.
All right. Asante sana. So we're going to wind up because of time. We give you an opportunity usonge pia. But I want to ask you something. Jana uliambia Kangata atalia na Kangata alilia. Ulifanyia nini Kangata? Nisikia Kangata wasema tunde.
He's my friend, and we had a long negotiation over the weekend with him and others over what is the best formula we should table yesterday. And I told him the only formula that saves Muranga is the one that Sakaja had brought without any amendment, and he should support. And so since he refused to support Sakaja's amendment as it is, now he's realized that any variable, including CRA, Muranga was losing a lot of money under CRA. Muranga was losing a lot of money under these other permutations. The only way they are going to make a very little, it was a small gain, is when if we have to make the other counties lose 2 billion, 1.8 and so forth. And I told him, you know, so I find it strange when a person who has been left with the space to now perform is blaming backbenchers. So I was asking him, no, so now really, so you are posting all these things about us doing this and that. So you are crying to who? We are supposed to be crying to you as the leader of the house. So you cannot be the one crying.
All right. Lastly, and then I'll give you time to do final remarks, and then these guys can make a statement, not a question, a statement. This morning I could not get you early because you are from running, and I can see you're skipping. But the last time I saw you, ulikuwa na kitambi kama mimi. So we've seen a contrast of two political sides. The other day I saw a picture was circulating with you, Senator Cheruiyot, I don't know who else, and I think there was Nelson Koech, a group of guys who had come in from Maran, and you guys were doing some stretches and all that.
And Nixon Koech.
And then I saw the system with big coats, in Baba, Veda Kenya, and these other guys. What should you expect going forward in as we head to the elections?
Well, first of all, trying to keep fit is very important for your health and for generally your ability to remain alert and function. So it's something that is encouraged to exercise as much as possible. So that's what we are trying to do. We are getting.
Are you also sending signs to the system?
No.
But if you cannot beat you on the ballot, we chase you.
No, if we have to do campaigns and so forth, you must be at the best in your physically. So should be able to make as many trips as possible. The second thing is to say that going forward there, we want to go forward with faith. We are supporters of the deputy president, but we are just few of his supporters. There are many millions of Kenyans out there that support him, and we want to listen to them. And as you said earlier, try to encourage as many as possible to also go ahead of us, like Fredia, like Aoko, and others. To bring new ideas. We have tested our ideas have already been tested. Let's bring also other people to retest and recalibrate. Dennis and yourself and all the people to involve themselves in what. And I think that's why we are opposed to ethnicization of our politics. And if you reducing us to say, okay, Kalenjins, Luos, Luyas, Kambas, Giriamas, all these people, Samburus, Masais. Somalis. We need to stop that kind of conversation and then talk about what is the capacity of an individual to deliver, and then give them that chance.
All right. Let's give just that statement, and then we close. 1 second, then let's let it go. Just a statement.
Senator Murkomen, thank you very much.
5 seconds.
For making time to come here. We don't know when else we'll have you, but we know you're always available to speak to the Wananchi. I think in closing remarks, as you're closing and making a closing statement, I'd want you just to slightly mention on the future of the Equalization Fund and the ASAL counties, and also the future of Jubilee Party, based on the fact that some of your party officials, Morade has endorsed Baba, Commander has endorsed Gideon Moi. What is the future of the party really? And then in closing, thank you so much for finding time to educate us, to have this conversation thereabout. And please, my charge to you is save the independence of the Senate. It's very important for us in terms of protecting a democratic space. Save the Senate. Make sure, even if you're a backbencher, you have a duty to ensure that the doctrine of the separation of powers is respected and properly adjudicated. Thank you very much.
All right, your statement, very quickly.
Mheshimiwa, thank you very much for making time to come. It has been a privilege and an honor to just pick your mind on various issues. We were having an earlier debate on the national metropolitan thing, and I think the way you've elucidated it, I think I'm now richer in terms of information on the same. I just feel like young politicians, you say you're above 35, but you still fall in the category of those who consider as young politicians. If you continue in that trajectory of being open-minded and not basing your politics on personality cults, some of us are looking up to you guys, right? Because you are in the politics within our generation. And so you have a very significant role to play on how we'll hinge our politics, those of us who probably would want to follow in your footsteps. And so we just implore you guys to make politics about competitive ideas and less about personalities and ethnic profiling and personality profiling, because some of us are really looking up to you. And also make yourself accessible to some of us, like you said, who might not really agree with your ideologies and probably your faction of these. And it's basically just because we bear certain sentiments. So make yourselves accessible so that we can have a sit down and talk about, I think I'm not buying your ideology because of this, and then we come together and move the country forward.
All right, Okanga, very quickly.
Thank you, Mheshimiwa. I think we have the advantage of being young people. The reason why probably you even chose to come and discuss with us, because you are fellow young people, and like other people that we have always tried to reach out and they tell us to go to their bedrooms to discuss this. I mean, you have shown that you're one of us. And for me, my challenge to you is that some of us are also upcoming politicians and leaders, and we'd want to hear more, not only in the studio, interact with you and hold our hands, because you see, in politics you run the rope. I mean, you learn the ropes as you go. Yeah, in the coming days, who knows, Dennis would be the next Murkomen in Senate, or Kango would be the next Murkomen, Aoko would be the next Murkomen. But if you don't interact with Murkomen, Cherargei, you don't interact with Senator Kajwang, Ledama, I mean, really, you might not get to know the paths to that. Yep. So I really encourage you, keep doing what you are doing. Kenyans are watching, and they say Kenyans are not fools. In the coming elections, we might speak and speak and speak, but Kenyans will know and will judge you guys by what you did, and then will place you where you want so that you can continue doing the good job.
All right. Senator, your closing remarks? Maybe your comments and
first, on the Equalization Fund, it's a pity that we are discussing these 8 years down the line, and the money has not been allocated to those marginalized areas. And I hope, even if it's a small percentage, that it will soon be released so that the marginalized areas in the country can benefit. On the Jubilee Party, it's a pity that a vice chair of our own party would endorse a candidate of another political party without consequence. Yet a senator standing with a fellow senator against the removal is facing disciplinary action in the same party. So it's a contradiction of high magnitude, and it's become really very, the party is being run by charlatans in a manner that is very disrespectful of the aspirations of Jubilee as a party. And Jubilee as a party talked about having free and democratic space for us to expound our issues that build the country. On the question of politics, about all of us who are doing this in the Senate, and I respect my colleagues across the aisle and the younger politicians. James Orengo is our mentor. He's done this for my entire lifetime. And so he's easily forgiven when he stumbles or he becomes apologetic to the state or he does the things he was doing last night. The challenge for us who are younger is to build also our own profile, to build our own legacy, to build our own name by doing the right things, so that when we, God willing, we are in their age, the world will be able to say, they were the Murkomens of this world contributed to a better Kenya in this manner, and that's why you see us. When I was last year when we were going to court, there is one conversation I had with the president that I like to say here, that I told the president that I appreciate this effort to help me solve the issue of laws between National Assembly and the Senate. And now that he's been unable to solve this problem, I have as majority leader to go to court because, and I told him, because I too want to leave a legacy. And of course, those are things that cumulatively led to us being told to be removed. But that's not my problem. My issue is that I must account for every period of service in any position that I held. And if I can't account for it, if I was just sitting there to receive salary and, to warm chair and whatever, then it was not worth being in that position. And I think that applies the same to all of us who are still younger in leadership. And those of you who are going to join elective leadership, you're already leading by shaping opinions. So it's a question of now, some coming to be elected, some will be appointed to work in government. And we remember every day that what is that one thing that we want to leave, what mark that we want to leave in any place that we pass through.
Thank you.
All right, asante sana mheshimiwa. There are comments, thousands and thousands of comments which have come here. I wish I could read them, but they really appreciate that you came in. And as a person and as Gerald Bitok, as a tackle, I really appreciate that you made time for us. It really means a lot. I've been pursuing you, Captain. Ukikuja hapa tutapona. With you just being here, I know that you're going to build this. And your presence here, like Okanga was rightfully said, is that it's actually a message to young people that when we support each other and stand with each other, we build something better. Yeah. You never know. You coming here is going to elevate this channel more, and probably in the coming months and all that, we are going to have a bigger discussion. So thank you so much. And by the way,
I should say I came here because I knew it was a startup. And I felt like we shouldn't just avail ourselves to work with the big boys. Yeah. Sure. We must be willing to build also the small boys. And you've started with a bang, and you have a big online presence. Yeah. So you can only imagine your future is very bright.
Amen. Asante sana. Ningesema muniekelee mkono. Kama kijana wa Bishop. So I really appreciate Senator. I wish you a blessed day. May God be with you. Na mambo ya kuwe sawa kwa pako. Tunakutakia mema.
Thank you.
Asante sana. Thank you.